Solo Sikoa disrespected Jacob Fatu. Why Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Sicks have been off WWE TV lately. The shocking reason why Naomi attacked Jade Cargill. Penta has big things coming. Nia Jax is a bigger disappointment than Mercedes Mone. WWE stars react to The Rock's personal update. A real-life Bloodline member responsible for WWE-TNA partnership. The Rock is planning the story of the century. Let's dive right in. Why Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Sicks have been off WWE TV lately. The Wyatt Sicks has been one of the most interesting factions in WWE in the recent past. The Mystic Group made its debut on the August 5, 2024 edition of Raw, and since then has made limited but impactful appearances. It feuded with American-made stable first and then moved on to the Final Testament. However, their much publicized rivalry with the Karrion Kross-led group didn't culminate in a major WWE Premium Live event. Apart from one televised match on Raw, the two factions didn't come face-to-face for another match. Moreover, they haven't had much presence on Raw in the last 2 weeks. The group last showed up on the December 23, 2024 edition of Raw, in which it attacked the Final Testament again. On the January 13, 2025 episode of Raw, it was revealed that the Wyatt Sicks had been moved to SmackDown. However, Uncle Howdy and his men didn't make their debut on the January 17th edition of the Blue brand. Number 1. No immediate creative plans for the Wyatt Sicks on SmackDown. It is believed by some that the company doesn't have a compelling storyline for Uncle Howdy's group on SmackDown yet. It was earlier rumored that Judgment Day from Raw could be moved to SmackDown, and the two groups would feud against each other and eventually lock horns at WrestleMania 41. However, the Judgment Day is still on the Red brand, and they might be moved to the Blue brand in the next few weeks. Until then, the Wyatt Sicks may have sporadic appearances on SmackDown. Number 2. Used as a special attraction. The company may also have plans to use them as a special attraction rather than getting the group for a random match on TV. The Wyatt Sicks have already garnered significant attention with their offbeat appearances on TV, like the kidnapping of a superstar or for issuing a warning to a heel superstar for seemingly crossing a line. Until the company chalks out a compelling strategy for Uncle Howdy's group, it may use it for special appearances only. Number 3. Waiting for Alexa Bliss's return. The return of former Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss is highly anticipated at this year's Women's Royal Rumble. The 33-year-old superstar has been on hiatus since Royal Rumble 2023, when she fell short against Bianca Belair in a title match. Bliss went on a hiatus for her pregnancy and hasn't made her comeback yet. It has been rumored for weeks that Alexa Bliss might make a return either as the 6th member of the Wyatt Sicks, or that she could take out Nikki Cross and replace her in the group. Knowing her past with the Uncle Howdy character, Bliss returning as a member of the Wyatt Sicks may not be a big surprise. The Stamford-based company could be waiting for her return and then give a new direction to Uncle Howdy's group. Number 4. Potential feud with Malachi Black if he returns to WWE in time for Mania. Former WWE superstar Aleister Black, currently known as Malachi Black in AEW, has been heavily rumored to make his return to WWE. The 39-year-old star's current contract with the Tony Khan-led promotion is reported to expire soon, and he is expected to return to WWE by Royal Rumble 2025. The House of Black leader is rumored to enter a feud with the Wyatt Sicks and attack Uncle Howdy upon his return, resulting in the two squaring off at WrestleMania 41. It might also happen that Malachi Black may also join the Wyatt Sicks as the 6th member, and the mysterious group is given a new direction. Be that as it may, the creative team does have certain plans for Uncle Howdy's faction on SmackDown, and by keeping them away from TV, Triple H is keeping the cards close to his chest. Next week's episode of SmackDown shall reveal more in this saga. The shocking reason why Naomi attacked Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill was attacked backstage on the November 22, 2024 edition of WWE SmackDown. Since then, it still remains a mystery on who was the person behind the attack is yet to be revealed. On the latest edition of SmackDown, during a backstage segment with Bianca Belair, Naomi claimed that the company was no closer to IDing the suspect. This led to Jade questioning the Glow's claims on social media. "You sure?" Cargill wrote. This has led to fans looking back to see what the issue between Cargill and Naomi might have been, and noticing that it was the former AEW star who eliminated the real-life Bloodline member from the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble match when she made her debut. Naomi could be holding a grudge, and now that she replaced Cargill and became one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, it will be hard to take back the title. Triple H has become a huge fan of long-term storytelling, so it's easy to see this story dating back months or even years if it means that it will be a compelling argument. Jade's taking to social media to question Naomi has led to many fans believing that she was the one behind the attack after Bianca Belair was seen as the prime suspect for several months. Jade Cargill has been out of action since the attack, but appears to be looking to make her return soon. She could be part of the upcoming Women's Royal Rumble match, and if Naomi were in the match at the time, she would finally be able to confront her. WWE doesn't appear to be pushing this investigation forward, so Jade Cargill could be forced to figure out who did it for herself. They could also be aware that she already knows and is waiting for her to exact her own revenge when she returns. Penta has big things coming. Penta exceeded expectations in his debut match on WWE Raw against Chad Gable. Former wrestling manager Jim Cornette is looking forward to what the luchador achieves in the company. After 5 years of being all elite, Penta became a free agent at the end of November and signed with WWE. He finally debuted last Monday on the January 13th episode of Raw, defeating Gable after a hard-hitting match. On the latest episode of the Jim Cornette Experience, the ex-WWE manager and co-host Brian Last discussed the star's debut. Cornette was pleased with what he saw, praising the former AEW star for quickly adapting to the WWE style of wrestling. He even sees big things ahead once the man with Zero Fear gets more used to how the company operates. Penta will be produced, and he will be much bigger, already is in this company than he was in AEW. They'll accentuate the strengths and eliminate the weaknesses. He is being produced, and then the opponents will say, "Oh no, if I'm going to do this, then we need to get this reaction, and then I'll do the other thing for you." He will assimilate into the system hopefully, Cornette said. Before signing with WWE, the star, formerly known as Pentagon Jr., performed for a bunch of promotions such as ATA, Lucha Underground, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Major League Wrestling, TNA Wrestling, CMLL, and AEW. In the same episode of the Jim Cornette Experience, the former WWE manager wanted fans to acknowledge Chad Gable for what he did for Penta. Gable received a lot of praise from Cornette, who credited the American-made leader for putting over the luchador. "Everybody's talking about this great debut. Chad Gable is the one that made this debut great. I'm sorry," Cornette said. Nia Jax is a bigger disappointment than Mercedes Mone. Nia Jax has been one of WWE's top female superstars since her return in 2023. A wrestling veteran recently made a massive claim about the irresistible force. While Jax had significant success in her first run in the Stamford-based company, she has gotten a huge push in her second so far. Last year, the 40-year-old won the Queen of the Ring tournament to earn a WWE Women's Championship match at SummerSlam. She defeated Bayley to capture the title at the biggest party of the summer. After holding the title for 153 days, she dropped it to Tiffany Stratton, who cashed in her Money in the Bank contract on the January 3rd, 2025 edition of SmackDown. Speaking on the Straight Talk with the Boss podcast, wrestling veteran Greg Gagne heaped praise on Jax, claiming she was the best female wrestler he has ever seen. When you talk about the girls' roster, I mean, they're phenomenal. I'll tell you that Nia Jax is the best I've ever seen. She is terrific. The matches she's been having and to keep that heat that she's got, phenomenal, he said. On the Behind the Turnbuckle, the Last Word podcast, former WWE employee Tommy Carlucci heavily criticized Nia Jax, claiming the irresistible force was a disappointment. Carlucci also warned against booking the 40-year-old SmackDown superstar in a feud against Rhea Ripley after their confrontation on Raw last Monday. "I would think it would be Nia, a bigger disappointment than Mercedes Mone. You're right. They've given her a million chances, and it just seems that you see the same thing, like tonight, headbutting Rhea Ripley. And, I hope they're not going to start an angle with these two, because that would be absolutely terrible, because you got to get somebody you can work with. And big people can work. And she has a really hard time being safe with other superstars, if you know what I mean," he said. WWE stars react to The Rock's personal update. Several current and former WWE personalities, including Charlotte Flair, Logan Paul, and Nikki Bella, recently took to social media to react to The Rock's personal update. In his post, the final boss uploaded a video of him spending time with his daughters. WWE brought in several legends for Raw's Netflix debut, including John Cena, The Rock, The Undertaker, and Hulk Hogan. During the show, the Brahma Bull cut a promo about the Red Brand's big move to the streaming giant and even broke his on-screen character to praise Cody Rhodes before heading backstage. However, he returned to the ring once again to crown Roman Reigns with the Ula Fala after the latter defeated Solo Sikoa to become the one true tribal chief. Although the audience in the arena enjoyed the final boss's return, fans on social media were not too happy with it. They believed the Triple H-led creative team did not add anything to The Rock's story with the Bloodline, and he only appeared because of his position on the TKO board of directors. Following this controversial Bloodline reunion, The Rock recently took to Instagram to share a video in which his daughters can be seen applying makeup on him. In his post's caption, the Brahma Bull wrote about how his daughters convinced him for a slight eyeshadow, but ended up putting makeup all over his face and head. Several current and former WWE personalities reacted with a like on The Rock's Instagram post, including Charlotte Flair, Logan Paul, Rey Mysterio, R-Truth, Lexis King, and more. Meanwhile, Bronson Reed, B-Fab, Nikki Bella, and Natalya left comments on it. A real-life Bloodline member responsible for WWE-TNA partnership. A real-life Bloodline member has received credit from a top name for WWE and TNA Wrestling, getting into a multi-year partnership. TNA Wrestling's Jordynne Grace said that the partnership wouldn't have come to fruition if it hadn't been for Naomi. WWE and TNA Wrestling, former rivals, have now gotten into a major partnership. This would lead to more crossover opportunities for stars from both companies. A fan on X claimed that Naomi, aka Trinity Fatu, played a massive role in the formation of this partnership. Former TNA Knockouts world champion Jordynne Grace couldn't agree more with the sentiment and had the following to say on X. Without the Trinity Fatu, none of this would have happened. Naomi is married to Jimmy Uso, making her a real-life Bloodline member. She has previously talked about potentially being added to the faction. Back in 2022, she spoke with Inside the Ropes and had the following to say, "I do get the Paul Heyman wisdom, and it is a little weird that I'm not in it, the Bloodline, because I'm always there with them. I'm always there. I'm always around. I'm always, annoying them, so maybe later down the road, or maybe there's somewhere for me to come in with the boys, with John and Josh, Jimmy and Jay Uso, who knows? But definitely something I would look forward to. I would want it to be the right time, and done properly," said Naomi. The Rock is planning the story of the century. The Rock made a magnificent return to WWE on Raw's debut episode on Netflix, leaving the fans confused about his future in the squared circle. While fans expect the Brahma Bull to enter the Men's Royal Rumble match this year, a former WWE superstar has predicted that the legend might have a massive plan in mind, involving Ted Sarandos. Since his addition to the board of TKO, the Brahma Bull has used his powers to build his final boss character in the most exciting way. During a recent edition of the Rebooked Wrestling podcast, Matthew Rehwoldt, FKA Aiden English, addressed The Rock's status for the upcoming Men's Royal Rumble match. While the former WWE star wasn't sure if the final boss would make an appearance, he stated that the legend could use his corporate position to send in Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, as an entrant in the Royal Rumble match. Everyone thinks The Rock is pulling out of, yeah, you know why, it's because he's calling in the favors. He's The Rock, he's on the board. He's told you 18 million times. He's told you that he's friends with Ted Sarandos about 15 million times. So the fix is in. The heel Rock is coming back, but it's not him. He's putting in his corporate allies and they're going to take over the show. It's a corporate takeover of a corporation within another corporation. It's gonna be the story of the century, stated Rehwoldt. The final boss has still not confirmed if he will be competing in the ring this year, just like WrestleMania 40. His return to the company was expected to tease his match for the grandest stage of them all, but things didn't go that way. As per recent reports from Ibu of Wrestle Purists, the Brahma Bull is still unsure about his in-ring status ahead of the road to WrestleMania. Fans will have to wait and see if the final boss will be in action this year. Solo Sikoa disrespected Jacob Fatu. There was an interesting moment on WWE SmackDown last Friday involving Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu of the Bloodline. It happened on air, and not many in the United States were able to see it, which fueled rumors of their potential breakup. Sikoa was advertised to appear on SmackDown and address his loss to Roman Reigns on Raw's Netflix debut. He lost to Reigns, who became the only tribal chief, putting the future of Sikoa's group in question. The former owner of the Ula Fala made his way to ring with his music and was booed by the San Diego crowd. He did not utter a single word, dropping his mic and leaving through the crowd. However, before Solo walked out, there was a part of the segment that was not shown in the USA Network broadcast, but was available on Netflix for the rest of the world. Fatu told the people to shut up and listen to Solo. After Jacob Fatu's short speech, he handed the mic to Solo Sikoa. The USA Network broadcast resumed at that point, with Sikoa walking out, leaving Fatu and Tama Tonga in disbelief. This led to the Samoan werewolf cutting a promo about just getting started before LA Knight came out to attack him and Tonga. Braun Strowman also showed up to even the odds, which set up a match between him and Fatu at Saturday night's main event on January 25th in San Antonio, Texas. Speaking on the latest episode of Something to Wrestle podcast, WWE Hall of Famer John Bradshaw Layfield was asked about the stars he would have loved to take on if he was still active. JBL mentioned Cody Rhodes, Nick Nemeth, and Jacob Fatu. Here's what the former WWE champion said about the Samoan werewolf. "I would love to work with Jacob Fatu. He's awesome. My God, that'd be so much fun to work with a guy like that who could do so much stuff. That would be a blast. That would be so much fun to do."